Hi, I'm Pete.
And I'm Nat.
And this is the Hire Yourself podcast. Each day we will publish a short episode on franchising and owning a business. These small bits of information will help you be a better entrepreneur and business person. Between us, we have 75 years of experience and have owned and ran 9 businesses and counting.
Hey, I'm Sean Smith, and I'm the producer of the Hire Yourself podcast. You'll hear from me each episode because I will introduce the topic that Nat and Pete will be talking about. And the question for this episode is, what is a franchise discovery day, and what should I expect?
When I went and left the corporate world and went to a discovery day, my wife and I decided to go to a discovery day. I didn't know much about them. I know a lot more about them now today, but we went out to San Francisco to a junk rule franchise for a discovery day. And I didn't realize this, but this is a day that is really about developing or finalizing that comfort level as it pertains to relationships. And I was thinking we'd be able to ask lots of questions, and we certainly got to ask lots of questions, but this was more about a day of us becoming comfortable with the leadership team, comfortable with the support staff, and certainly seeing the operation. So we actually spent part of our discovery day on a junk truck. It was a lot of fun. I liked it. I don't know if my wife liked it a lot, but a discovery day, again, is kind of this last big step. And it's about making sure that it's a good fit, that you believe in them, they believe in you, and you go forward.
My experience was very similar to Pete. I went to my first discovery day when I bought my senior care franchise, and it was in Dayton, Ohio. And it was interesting because I was in my 20s. And when I got to discovery day, one of the things that I found the most fascinating was all the other people that were attracted to the brand. And I like to coach my candidates also. Like when you're at discovery day and you're looking around at the other people, I think it's a really good opportunity to try to understand who's being attracted to the brand, and if that's kind of peer group that you want to be with long term. In my case, I was in my 20s, and there was a lot of executives that were in their 50s that were investing in senior care, and they had been successful, and I just felt like I was in the right place. And it was also really great to see all the support and infrastructure that's in place to support you or myself in this case as a first-time business owner. And it really gives you confidence as you're kind of making that transition or bridge into entrepreneurship.
One of the things I would say, Sean, about discovery days is not everybody that goes to discovery day is approved. And it is very much a kind of a mutual approval process. And there's some people that go to discovery day and they just want to sit back and basically just observe. They don't want to participate in the discovery day. And that is one of the fastest ways to get unapproved or not approved to become a franchisee. And so it's very much an interactive day. You have to be evaluating them, but they are certainly evaluating you. And sometimes people forget that. And another thing about discovery days is this is a day where you get to be there asking questions, but you also get the benefit of other potential candidates or people that are going to invest in the franchise. And I tell people to get to know the other participants in the discovery day because they could be their future peers. They're also going through the same evaluation process. And you may call upon them as you're kind of making your final decision to say, kind of, what do you guys think of the discovery day? So there's lots of benefits associated with the discovery day.
Yeah, it almost, like for me, in my case, became like my freshman class because those guys I met at discovery day, most of us all bought in the same kind of 30-day period. And so we'd be calling up each other like, hey, how do you do this? Or what, just problem solving. And it was actually really awesome.
One of the things you do to prepare to go to discovery day is you write out your questions, have your questions prepared, because there's going to be lots of opportunities to ask questions, whether they're in informal settings at dinner or on a bus to go visit a location or in a formal meeting. But you want to have those questions. And most of the time, the question should be thought out, meaning if you already know a certain level of information, you shouldn't kind of go and ask a basic question. So it might be like, I understand that you do digital marketing for the franchisees. How do you see that evolving going forward? Would be taking something that and then building upon it with your question. And I always tell people, if you're asking questions and you have what we call a negative Nelly or a doubting Thomas question, those are great questions asked, but those are questions you ask one-on-one You don't ask that in the group session. They don't want somebody to be the wet blanket. And you, again, can ask any question. But if it's a negative question, you just pull the franchise development person or the lead person aside and just ask your question. But the key thing is you don't want to be the wet blanket in the room. That's the second fastest way to get unapproved as a potential franchisee.
Thanks for listening. If you enjoyed this or any of our episodes, please subscribe to the podcast. And it would be absolutely amazing if you give us a rating and review. We hope you listen to us again tomorrow.